Welcome to EngloStories. Today, we have a classic tale that has been told for thousands of years. The Boy Who Cried Wolf is one of Aesop's most famous fables, written around 600 BCE by Aesop, an ancient Greek storyteller. Aesop created many short stories called fables that teach important life lessons. This particular story follows a young shepherd boy who learns a powerful lesson about honesty and trust. The tale has become so well known that the phrase crying wolf is now used in many languages to describe someone who raises false alarms. As we journey through this timeless story together, pay attention to the choices the young boy makes and their consequences. What happens when someone tells lies too many times? Let's find out in this simple yet profound tale that has guided children and adults for centuries. Now let's begin the story. Long ago, in a small, peaceful village nestled among rolling green hills, there lived a young shepherd boy. The village was a simple place where everyone knew each other and worked hard to support their community. Farmers tended their crops in the fertile fields, merchants sold goods in the modest marketplace, and shepherds watched over their flocks of sheep on the surrounding hillsides. The boy, who was no more than 12 years old, had been given the important responsibility of looking after his family's sheep. Every morning, he would lead the fluffy white flock up to the grassy hills above the village. His job was to ensure the sheep grazed safely and to protect them from any danger, especially wolves that sometimes roamed the nearby forest. At first, the boy was proud of his task. He carried a wooden staff and wore a broad-brimmed hat to shield himself from the sun. However, as days passed, he began to find his job increasingly boring. Hour after hour, he would sit watching the sheep eat grass with nothing exciting happening. The hills were quiet, and the sheep were peaceful. The boy longed for adventure and excitement that seemed so absent from his daily routine. Little did he know that his search for entertainment would soon lead to trouble for everyone in the village. One particularly uneventful afternoon, as the boy sat under the shade of an old oak tree watching his sheep, a mischievous idea entered his mind. He thought about the village below, where everyone was busy with their daily tasks. What if he could create some excitement? What if he could see all those serious adults running and panicking? The thought made him smile. "I know what I'll do," he whispered to himself, a playful glint in his eyes. He stood up, took a deep breath, and began to run down the hill towards the village. As he ran, he shouted at the top of his lungs, "Wolf! Wolf! A wolf is attacking the sheep! Help! Help!" His cries echoed through the valley. In the village below, the peaceful afternoon was suddenly disturbed. Farmers dropped their tools, merchants abandoned their stalls, and villagers grabbed whatever weapons they could find. With their hearts racing, they rushed up the hill to save the boy and the sheep from the dangerous predator. When they reached the top of the hill, panting and ready to confront the wolf, they found only the boy, doubled over with laughter, and the sheep grazing peacefully nearby. "Where is the wolf?" asked the village elder, looking around with confusion. The boy could barely contain his giggles. "There is no wolf," he admitted. "I was just bored and wanted to see if you would come." The villagers' faces turned from concern to anger. They had left their important work and rushed up the steep hill for nothing. Some had even injured themselves in their haste. "This is not a game, boy," scolded the elder. "Wolves are dangerous, and our work in the village is important. Do not cry wolf when there is no wolf. The villagers grumbled as they made their way back down the hill, returning to their interrupted tasks. The boy felt a little ashamed, but soon forgot the seriousness of what he had done. A few days passed quietly as he watched over his sheep, but as boredom set in again, he began to think about the excitement his trick had caused. They'll have forgotten about last time, he reasoned to himself, and it was so funny to see them all running up the hill. So once again, the boy ran toward the village, crying out, "Wolf! Wolf! Help! A wolf is attacking the sheep!" Once more, the villagers dropped what they were doing and hurried up the hill, though this time with more hesitation in their steps. When they arrived, breathing heavily from the climb, they found the boy rolling on the ground with laughter. There was no wolf in sight, and the sheep were grazing peacefully as before. "You fooled us again!" an angry farmer shouted, wiping sweat from his brow. "This is the last time we'll come running for your amusement," warned another villager, pointing a finger at the boy. The villagers turned their backs and descended the hill, muttering about the boy's disrespect and dishonesty. The boy's laughter faded as he watched them go, but he quickly shrugged off their warnings. He didn't understand the seriousness of his actions or how he was slowly destroying the villagers' trust in him. A week passed. The boy had almost forgotten about his pranks when one evening, as the sun was beginning to set and he was preparing to lead his sheep back to the village, he heard a low growling sound from the forest edge. Turning slowly, his heart froze in his chest. There, with gleaming eyes and bared teeth, stood a real wolf, large, gray, and hungry. Fear gripped the boy as the wolf began to circle the flock, causing the sheep to bleat in panic. Without thinking twice, the boy turned and ran toward the village, his voice cracking with genuine terror. "Wolf! Wolf!" he screamed, his face pale and tears streaming down his cheeks. "Please help! There really is a wolf attacking the sheep. Please come quickly!" But as his cries reached the village below, the people heard his words and simply shook their heads. No one moved to help. No one grabbed a weapon. No one believed him. The boy stood at the edge of the village, desperately pleading with anyone who would listen. "Please," he begged, grabbing the arm of the village elder, "I'm telling the truth this time. There really is a wolf." The elder gently removed the boy's hand from his sleeve. "We've heard this story before, young man," he said with a sad shake of his head. "Twice you've tricked us, and we will not be fooled again." Other villagers turned away, some with disappointment in their eyes, others with indifference. They returned to their evening meals and family conversations, ignoring the boy's desperate pleas. Realizing no help would come, the boy ran back up the hill alone, hoping to save at least some of his sheep. But as he reached the top, his heart sank at the scene before him. The wolf had attacked the flock, killing several sheep, while others had scattered in fear across the hillside. The boy sat down heavily on a rock, tears flowing freely now. This was not like his false alarms. This was real danger, real loss, and real consequences. As night fell, he managed to gather the remaining sheep, counting each one with a heavy heart. Many were missing, and he knew he would have to face his family and explain what had happened. The next morning, the boy led his significantly smaller flock back to the village. With his head bowed in shame, he confessed everything to his parents and the village elder, his boredom, his lies, and finally, the real wolf attack that no one believed. His father placed a firm but gentle hand on his shoulder. "The cost of your lives was high," he said, "not just in lost sheep, but in lost trust." In the days that followed, the boy worked harder than ever, not only tending to the remaining sheep, but helping other shepherds and villagers with their tasks. Slowly, through his actions rather than his words, he began to rebuild the trust he had broken. He had learned, in the hardest way possible, that honesty was not just important. It was essential for a community to function and for people to help each other in times of true need. The story of the boy who cried wolf teaches us one of life's most valuable lessons: the importance of honesty and trustworthiness. When we lie, especially repeatedly, people stop believing us, even when we're telling the truth. Trust is like a precious object that takes time to build but can be broken in an instant. Once broken, it requires consistent, honest behavior over time to repair. This ancient fable reminds us that our words have power and consequences. In our daily lives, whether with family, friends, or in our communities, being honest builds strong relationships and ensures that when we truly need help, others will take our words seriously. If you enjoyed this story and its important message, please remember to like this video and share it with friends who might also learn from it. What did you think of the shepherd boy's actions? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Follow EngloStories as we upload a story daily so that you can look forward to our next video. Thank you for learning English with us today, and we'll see you in our next story.